In our first story, Chairman of the Peace Council, Most Reverend Professor Asante, is dismayed at the constant change of public officials when governments change. He says good governance in the country will be jeopardized if the phenomenon persists.
We still have not come to a situation where we will have a firmly established public, servants, where people who have been put in place to do some work will not be disturbed by, incoming governments. It is as if when somebody has been appointed by a particular, government to do something, and usually the appointments, it may be that the person is qualified or even the person may not be qualified. If a person is not qualified and we are changing a person on the basis of his inability to perform, one has no problem. But if we have to change people because they don't belong to our party, I'm very much aware that in some certain areas, there is the need for such changes because, a person may not share your political ideas. They may not, you cannot appreciate your ideologies. So you want to work with people who will agree with you. But there are some areas where it has nothing to do with that. And then people have had to be moved and new people have had to go there. Whether there's been proper transitional thing. One good thing that we did was this transition. It was a long period. They were able to meet to discuss a number of issues. But I think we could do more than that. And this whole business that the government comes in power, and so certain people whose position are not necessarily political will have to give way to others because it is our government and we must have the opportunity to also work. Also, it's not helpful. It doesn't augur for good governance.
Elsewhere, smallholder farmers in Ghana are being promised regular supply of high-quality yam seed in the coming season. The Crops Research Institute of the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research says improved technology in seed production will ensure increased crop yield. Director of the CSIR, Dr. Stella Ama-Ainin, spoke at a contract signing ceremony for public-private partnership for aeroponics-based seed yam production. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah reports.
Aeroponics is a process of growing plants mid-air in a moist environment without tilling the land. The technology involves generating yam seeds from vines for improved and disease-resistant varieties. Community action for yam seed project is aimed at increased production for food security and wealth creation. 3,000 smallholder farmers in 8 major yam production areas in Ghana and Nigeria will benefit from the initiative. It falls under the Yam Improvement for Income and Food Security Aeroponics Greenhouse and System. Dr. Ama-Ainin believes this will demonstrate to farmers best practices in maintaining clean seed at their own farm level.
Yes, we are planting yam in air, but really we have the technology which you have all been exposed to. And this technology is able to give us very clean planting materials because we are starting from tissue culture, which is a very clean source of planting material. And we are not keeping this technology to ourselves on the station. We know that technology transfer is very important to us. When we develop technologies, crop research technologies are not left on the shelves. We make sure that we move the technology to the end users.
After a series of training, the Crops Research Institute has entered agreement with 6 local commercial farms to produce the seeds for local farmers. JoyNews spoke with some of the beneficiaries.
It's going to promote more seed yam in the system because we ventured into farming and especially into yam production, but then you cannot produce the large acreage.
Yam is one of the staple crops in Ghana. But since time immemorial, there hasn't been any quality seed yam in the system. No seed yam at all. But this initiative will go a long way to help the company financially to get money and at the same time to live by its vision, that is making seeds affordable, accessible to the remotest part of the country for farmers. It will help with our food security. It will help the ordinary farmer to get money into his pocket, and it will help with nutrition for the country.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
Ghana's efforts in the fight against child labor in cocoa-growing communities have received a major boost with the construction of 4 school building projects by CARE and General Mills Partnership. The 4 school projects, each consisting of a 2-unit classroom block, office and store, worth a total of 466,000 Ghana cedis, will serve more than 260 pupils from 6 communities in the Asikuma Odobeng Brakwa district. Officials of CARE say the projects will help fight child labor. Here's Richard Kwejenyako's report.
The 4 building projects were completed within 3 years. CARE International's support to these cocoa-growing communities is to enable children from these areas have unfettered access to education. Hitherto, children from adjoining cocoa-growing communities in the Asikuma Odobeng Brakwa district had to walk more than 2 kilometers before accessing education. The situation made many students drop out of school to follow their parents to their cocoa farms, while many girls in the area became teenage mothers. Speaking at a ceremony to hand over the keys of the newly constructed school project to the head teachers of the 4 schools, the team leader and project manager of CARE International, Dr. Theophilus Nkansa, expressed optimism that the project would help put smiles on the faces of many parents and educational authorities.
When it comes to rural communities in Ghana, educational infrastructure is a big challenge. You see communities where students school and very deteriorated buildings, some under trees, some in chapels in other people's houses, and in many places you find people's not having even desks to sit on, and this actually motivated CARE as an organization, because we value education to at least do our bit in providing the needed infrastructure to promote quality teaching and learning in rural communities.
The Asikuma Odobeng Brakwa district earlier this year experienced one of the most tragic happenings in the educational history of the country when a dilapidated kindergarten school block collapsed and killed 6 KG pupils at Breman Jamra. The district chief executive for Asikuma Odobeng Brakwa, Isaac Odum, who couldn't hide his excitement at the gesture by the NGO, thanked the CARE General Mills Partnership for lessening the burden of the assembly to provide educational infrastructure and urged the school's management committees to ensure that the facilities are properly maintained.
Before I became the DC, in January thereabouts this year, a school building collapsed at Jamra, killing 6 innocent children. Now, we made a lot of interventions. We started, a lot of people even came in, organization came in promising to actually put the school building into functioning. As we can see here now, we are encouraging a lot of NGOs to come on board to actually help construct the KG blocks for us.
CARE International is one of the world's leading humanitarian and development organizations fighting global poverty and defending the dignity of people around the world since its inception in 1945. Richard Kwejenyako's, JoyNews, Bremene Sikuma.
In other news, Deputy Minister of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Prof Asante, says it is disheartening that the institution of chieftaincy has lost the respect it once had in Ghanaian society. He says with the proliferation of education and knowledge of human rights, Ghanaians have left this key element of society behind. Prof Asante believes this move has resulted in the loss of essential moral values which previously defined Ghanaians. He is therefore calling for the institution of chieftaincy to be clothed with the requisite legal powers to allow them to govern effectively at the community level.
We are in a society or a country where we tend to say fundamental human right. And this fundamental human right is killing a lot of our values. Now, going to the act, chiefs have been so much crippled that there are certain things they cannot do. So when a child even stands in the public to insult an elder person, it becomes difficult for the chief to institute some actions against such a child. Those times it was not there. If a child does something which is very bad, another person can beat the child. And when he goes for the mother of that particular child, will also continue to beat the child, just to make sure that what he did or she did was very bad. But this time, beat up a child in the street, the mother or the father will chase you up in the house. Powers has to be sent, at least given to these chiefs and queen mothers in the various communities, so that as time goes by, they begin to give education to the people. So that when there's any of these incidents I'm talking about comes up, they will have the power to punish those people. And that will bring the fear into the people. Then our values and our principles can be achieved. If you don't do that, and probably we try to say, because we are in a democratic society and that we're freedom of human rights, and we need we go about doing whatever we want to do. At the end of the day, we may not achieve anything.
The turn of the 21st century has seen an upsurge in modern technology and workplace equipment that is replacing manual execution of tasks. Labor automation comes with concerns about loss of livelihood sources. Amidst worries about how to mitigate the effects across the globe, there are optimists who believe all is not lost. Here's Love Firm's Kwesi Deborah again, who explores how the work of an artist gives hope to the world of manual labor.
Left with over 300 books to fold and bind, Barnabas Sam would have to endure sitting for another 3 hours. He had done 200 before lunch. Barnabas would have to finish a consignment by close of day, early enough for his kindergarten center clients. When I started, some were involved in binding, stitching, and others were operating the cutting machine. Alfred is one of Barnabas' 12 employees. Though he can fold and bind, he specializes in stitching, a role he has performed for 5 years. Barnabas is satisfied at their work, though sometimes he is bothered by negative work attitude. Most of them are lazy and like idling about. He has acquired and installed new machines and replaced outmoded equipment to facilitate workflow. Nonetheless, his workforce remains unthreatened. When I got the machines, I reduced the number of workers in one department, but I had to assign different roles to the affected persons. The World Bank estimates 2/3 of jobs worldwide will be lost as a result of automation, and is therefore advocating new and innovative ways to reach the poor so that the world can be stable and safe. Jim Yong Kim is president.
Aspirations on the rise everywhere. Jobs being eliminated at huge percentages. This is just our estimate of how many currently existing jobs will be eliminated by automation in these countries.
Despite the fear, many continue to extend the argument. Here is Master of Fine Art student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. She gathers shavings from cane weavers in major cities in Ghana.
And they come as a result of someone else's labor.
She believes no matter how automated the labor world becomes, the human touch will remain indispensable.
In our postmodern industrial world, the act of handmade still exists, but in diverse forms. So it's not about touching the work. It's not about having a physical contact with the material, but if you're able to give a command to a machine to do an artwork for you, in one way or the other, there's this manual touch to it because there's a presence of human elements in there.
Call it a headgear or doormat. She has, however, invoked and empowered the ghost of manual labor.
My name is Esther Fosu, and this installation you see here is titled Necromancy of Stitching, Weaving, and Crocheting.
Also known as labor of love. For JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
If Kwesi Deborah can take the job of the camera woman, then I wonder what we will be taking from the people we work with. But definitely a lot of things getting automated. Very interesting story there found by Kwesi Deborah in Kumasi. That will be it for the AM News. But whilst we get ready for the newspapers, here's a story I want to share with you. If you're a millennial, games like Chaskele, Alikoto, and a whole lot of them may sound strange some time ago. These traditional games were revered by the young and old. The stories are, however, different now. Today, a smart device is all you need to play Candy Crush, Bubble Shooter, Temple Run, among others. In this report, JoyNews' Faustina Safo takes us back memory lane to some of the games we used to play. When we come back, we've got the newspapers and we'll do the online review as well. Enjoy it.
These girls are playing RPCC. You need at least 3 players to get this game right. A team rope is formed using torn polythene bags. It is then tied around the legs of 2 players, and the 3rd player jumps the rope as many times as possible. Once her legs gets tangled in the ropes, she loses that game. Now, people hardly play these games, especially the younger ones. I sought to find out what games people played when they were kids.
Games are me bono and then ampi no de na me pepa nti yetumi gada saa time no kra ne ye krum ho light mba ho ye fro ho katan na light mba ho nti time light ba ho no ye de light ba ku be si market ho nti obia ye nyina ye bedi agro a yetumi kwa light na ase ne ye bedi agro ya boampe ni saa wo obedi first and second na we gina nche ye yiyi wo mo awi ye ni nche nti next time ne ye bo a yetumi gba ba 1 week wo mo edi first ni nyina ne ya gada ne ye nyina ya bo nti ye bo a afi ne ye pe champion no se wo wini a wo be wini wo be ye first no ne ya so a yetumi so a chinkro no mu nyina ne ye tonyum ne ye dede saa
me ya akwara no me Prof Asante be kwa isamfu eduam na agro mi di pa Chaskele na Chaskele no manage ho pa ye bo Chaskele a ye de kentensi ho na America tontura no ya moamoa nti ba kukura ba ejina kenten ho nti na aba no o di ebetuma no abo ato akone etimi bo 9 kura ma ne twa enso na ya agro a ne ye pepa.
These games gave us a sense of identification. They were a great source of entertainment, self-expression, and cooperation. So what has changed?
I've heard of Tumantu, Ampe, Zanzama, Chaskele, but I'm not a fan of that. I like to play Subwave, Temple Run. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I don't enjoy those games. I'm not a fan of them. I like Subway, Temple Run, dress-up games, and I like technology, all those kind of games.
The advent of technology appears to have changed it all. Proprietress of Mercy Schools Complex, Rebecca Chima, says Ghana risks losing touch with its identity if these traditional games become extinct.
Something like Chaskele is a good thing because the kids running and all other things. But if we can maybe incorporate it into our PE, modify it, the children can play those games during PE. They can have those games, yes. So that will help.
She advised these games could be modified to entice the younger generation. For JoyNews, Faustina Safo.